What's going on, guys? Welcome back to CarX Street. I just wrapped up the 21 Tribe and Black Lotus Club progressions, which means I have 1.2 million credits and 159 speed coin in the bank ready for a new drift build. I figured what car could be better than the legendary Mark IV Supra here, so let's pick this thing up and get started. So here it is, guys. Here's the Mark IV, 160,000 credits later. Look at this thing, man. So sick. Can't wait to get started on this thing. Now, I do have a pretty good idea of where I want this build to go today, but of course, we do need to drive it stock before we get started here. So driving it around stock here, it does feel a little bit underpowered. We got second gear rip in here, nice and balanced though. This chassis has always been a favorite of mine, but the engine definitely is struggling. Now, we'll talk about this when we get down to tuning and upgrades a little bit more, but I do think we're actually going to end up 2J swapping this car, even though it comes with a 2J, because I do believe the swap is going to give us a little bit better power than the stock motor here, but that's going to happen a little bit later. For now, we're just going to get this thing on into the styling shop where we're going to start customizing this thing, then we'll move over to tuning and upgrades. All right, guys, so here we are in the styling shop. We're going to start here just to get everything kind of figured out on the body before we move to wheels and fitment. Of course, we are going to take a look at the body kits first, and I am going to go through all the body kits this time. I'm so sorry I missed a few on the RX-7 video, but we do have the stock, of course, first. We have the slide performance here up next. Nice little kit on here with the stock fenders. We got missile that does have some over fenders, but oh boy, is it a little bit loud. We got R&T here, stock width as well, but with a full-out Supra body kit. Little Fast and Furious vibes on this one. Then we got CBW, which is a favorite of mine. We got D-Master here, which is the kit I use on my comp car, and I think we're going to build another one of these eventually, but I think we're going to save this kit for later for sure. Then we got Street X, throws the GT86 front end on here, which I don't think we're going to do to our Supra. Then we got the Pro Flow, which I don't even know what this front end is, and that's going to do it for body kits here. I do think we're going to run the CBW today. I want to go a little bit wide, and I want to save that Rocket Bunny for later, but let's apply the CBW to start here. The hood, though, I do think we're going to want to go with a little bit more of an OEM vibe if possible. The CBW is going to be the one that comes with the kit. We got D-Master to the right, and then there's two more to the right that are extension required. We got R&T over here is that classic Supra hood. We got Missile here, we got Slide Performance, and then we got OEM. Now, I do think I'm going to go with a few OEM elements similar to the RX-7 here, where we do have a wide body kit. The more OEM parts we can put on to sort of dial that back is going to be better for this build, so we're going to run the stock hood here. After that, we have front bumper. Only two options here. We have bash bar and CBW with this kit. We're going to leave the CBW on there for sure, and then we got rear bumper after that. Same deal, bash bar and CBW. Gonna run CBW here too. And then for the roof, we got two options here. We got the Pro Flow, which adds a little bit of like a scoop thing up there, and then stock. We're gonna run stock for sure. Front lights, I don't think we're gonna want that vented right headlight. We're gonna go back to stock on these. Slide performance are pretty cool, but I think we want the stock headlights with the black housings. We're gonna throw those on there. Then we got taillights here next. Starting from the right, we got Pro Flow, which don't look bad. We got CBW, which honestly look a lot like the OEM ones. Missile here with the Lambo lights. Slide performance, which look pretty OEM as well, but with the LEDs. And we got the actual OEM lights. I think we're going to run OEM lights back here too. For mirrors, I think we're going to go with the same philosophy as the hood. We're going to go with something OEM, but we do have Pro Flow as an option. CBW comes with the kit. Then we got custom, missile, slide performance, and our OEM mirrors, which we're going to run on this one. For trunk here, we have CBW, which is going to delete the OEM third brake light. We got custom, which adds some racing bracing. We got slide performance with the LED third brake light, and then we got stock with our OEM third brake light. We're definitely going to run stock on this one too. For wings, we got the CBW wing, which comes stock with the kit. We got D-Master to the right, as well as Street X here with the duckbill and Pro Flow. Then to the left, we got R&T, missile, slide performance, stock, which is wingless, and then another stock, which has that Supra wing. Now, just like the mirrors in the hood here, guys, I think that OEM wing is going to be the move just to make the car look a little bit more like a factory Supra, except with that wide body kit included. After that, we got exhaust, which I would love to go with the chrome tip, and we do have one here, which we don't need to spend speed coin on, which is awesome. We got slide performance over here, which is also titanium and stock. And then to the right, we got Street X, and then a couple more, which should be extension required because it won't let me click over. I think we're going to run custom for now. We can change it up. They're pretty cheap, so I'm not too worried if we need to change it up after we paint the car. We got roll cage after that. I don't think we're going to need one. And then we got wheels. So before we pick wheels, we're actually going to buy all the parts that we have for the car, and we're going to paint the car first. So we're going to head over to paint job, paint the whole thing. And for this car, I think we're going to try and match the Mark V yellow, not the Mark IV yellow, which is super, like the Mark V yellow is like this. It's like super yellow. I think we're going to try and dial it a little bit more towards that orange side, something like this. We're going to leave saturation almost all the way up as well as brightness. I would like to bring it down something like this if I could. The problem is though, is it looks really nice in the styling shop, but when you bring it out, it does look like almost burnt orange at night, and I don't like that. So we're going to keep the brightness up, and you guys will see in the overworld why. So I think that's a pretty good starting point for our color. We can adjust as needed once we see it in the overworld, but I think this is a good starting point. So we'll do the color there. And then there are a few more things I want to take care of while we're here in styling. We're definitely going to want to tint the windows down a little bit. Somewhere around there should be good. We're going to want to do the headlight glass as well. Now this you want to be careful with, because in my experience, if you darken these out too much, you actually hurt hurt your headlight beams just a little bit, and so I definitely want to keep it darker than stock, but not too dark. So just to bring it down just a little bit, I think that looks good right there. We're gonna do the same to the taillights, apply these. Now on these I want to be careful too, because if you go too dark, you won't be able to see in like bright daylight when you hit the brakes, and I want people who are tandeming with me to be able to see when I'm on my brakes. So I think we'll do something closer to this. That looks pretty good right there. Keeping it subtle, just darkening them a little bit without making them look, because I think honestly if you go like too dark, that's starting to look a little, actually it looks good in here. That actually looks really good. You know what, maybe we'll try them like right about here and see how they look in the overworld. After taillights, we do have wheel color, but we're gonna skip that for now. I think we can do our suspension arms and all that stuff though. I think we're just gonna go with black for most of this stuff, or maybe white. White might be cool. Maybe we'll do white. So we'll do white arms. I think the struts can be black. Springs though could probably be white. That looks pretty sick. I'm thinking red might not be bad either. I don't hate the red, but I think the white just looks a little bit cleaner with those white arms. I don't know, maybe black. That's a tough one. Ooh, the red strut with the black doesn't look bad either. Yeah, you know what? I like that red strut there. I think that looks pretty good. Let's leave that for now. And then the calipers, I'm thinking red might look really nice. Ooh, I don't know. They definitely pop on the yellow paint, but I think they're a little much. I think black's gonna be the move. So there's black, I'm loving that. And then truthfully, I don't think I'm loving that red strut now that I see it with the caliper. So I think we're gonna go to black on the strut too. Yeah, with the white arms, that looks sick. So we'll apply all that stuff. Then we're gonna pick a set of wheels over here. So back into body, down to wheels. And honestly, I don't hate the OEM wheels on this. They look like TEs to me. And I love the Meisters, but we just ran them on the RX-7 and I usually run these on the comp version of my Supra too. So we're gonna skip these for now. And I know we just ran these on the S14, but these are the wheels that I'm leaning towards for now. However, there's one more set that I want to check out over here. The good old Regas. These are pretty clean. You know what? Let's be different this time. Let's go with the Regas. We can always swap them later. They are a little expensive. They're 30K, but we'll do it anyway. We're gonna apply these, and I think that's gonna do it. Oh wait, no, we gotta do styling too. We're gonna pick a wheel here. We got, I think on this one, the mono is gonna work out really well because it's a yellow car, so we'll run the mono wheel. E-braking gearbox, we're gonna leave. I think driver seat we can do for sure. We'll throw R-Corp in there as well. I don't know, does it need 2 seats? Yeah, this car looks better with 2 seats. We'll do both R-Corps, and then we got brake rotors. Definitely go with the nice drilled and slotted here. Honestly, we probably could run purple neons on here. I don't know if there's a way to turn them on and off in the overworld. I'm guessing not, so I think we're gonna leave them off for now, but definitely let me know down in the comments if there's a way to turn them off and on, because if there is, I think I'll throw purples on this for sure. We are gonna go with the Shinobi backfire though. It's so good. Nitro, I think we'll go up to the bigger flame. That looks cool. Front light color, I think white is perfectly fine. And smoke we can leave, but there's one more thing that I want to check out before we leave the styling shop here. I want to head back into wheels, and I haven't done it in a while, but I'm wondering if the white wheels could work out well in the yellow. I was also thinking like a darker color might work nice too. Something like this. That looks a little bit more race car though. I think the white feels a little more drifty to me. So it's between standard white here or the metallic. That is so tricky. I almost wish these had the sticker on them like the real Regamaster Evos with like the red Evo. That would look so nice. Oh, this is such a tough call. I think we're gonna throw the white on it for now, but I have a feeling we might be back in styling later in the video to throw the metallic back on, but we're gonna try it. We're gonna try and make it work. All right, so checking this thing out in the overworld, honestly, the white looks pretty sharp on this thing, man. The wheels and fitment are definitely way off. We're running stock here, but it looks pretty good so far. I'm actually wicked hyped on this. So once again here, guys, just driving stock. Kind of want to check out the light brightness and stuff. Everything looks really good. We did smoke those taillights out. You can see the brake lights pretty well too. We'll check those out in the daytime, but I think everything looks pretty good here, man. I'm really stoked with how this thing came out, and there is an upgrade shop right up the road here, so we're gonna drive it up there and see what kind of build we can figure out for this thing. All right, guys, pulling this into upgrades and tuning next, we are gonna look at swaps. We have the 2J over here, but it is 130 speed coin, which is actually way too much. I wouldn't have enough for a front angle kit. So as much as I would love to swap this in here, I think we are gonna run the stock 2J, because like I said, if I head over here into suspension, I am gonna need 34 of those speed coins for the front arms. So we're gonna apply those first and foremost. Like any drift build, you gotta have that steering angle. We're gonna throw the stabilizers on, although I do want to give you guys a quick tip. Shout out to Ice Girl on Twitch. She pointed out that there is a no stabilizer bar option, which I know a lot of guys like to run, but I do like to have the ultimate on these cars. I do bottom them out, of course, and I did that in CarX Drift Racing too, but I do like having the stabilizer on there. I feel like it just wakes the car up a little bit, but that's totally a matter of preference. You guys should definitely try them out both ways. We're gonna throw the racing brakes on this again as always. Again, that's just so that we can tune our brake bias down here, which we are gonna throw up to 61, and we'll fine tune the rest of the alignment in a little bit. After that, we got our ultimate rear stabilizers. Then we got the ultimate rear arms here too for 10K. Front springs, we're gonna go with Elite because we get plenty of adjustment without needing to spend speed coin. We're gonna do the front dampers ultimate here as well. Dampers are gonna be ultimate for the rear here. Elite springs in the rear too. And that's gonna do it for suspension. I think up next, we're gonna wanna do our transmission. We get everything figured out except for power before we go blowing our money. I do think we want that ultimate clutch. We head in here into tuning. That's gonna get our gear shifting speed all the way down, which is super nice. After that, we do have diff. Now, I have gotten a few comments saying I should just run welded, and I do like the welded diff on wheel tunes, but I do like ultimate for controller tunes. Now, the reason I like the ultimate diff is because if you guys look on the right over over here, I can tune my acceleration and my coast lock independent of one another. Preload's a nice touch too, but really it's the coast and acceleration lock that I really enjoy having access to tuning. Of course, we'll throw that ultimate gearbox in here as well. We're definitely going to tune every gear, and we're going to leave that stock rear wheel drive drivetrain. Now for body, I know a lot of people have been weight reducing their cars. It is a little bit expensive, so I think we'll drive it before we make any calls on weight reduction. I don't think we need any aero or a fuel tank, and we actually have plenty of credits left at this point, so we're going to head into engine here, see what kind of power we can make. I'm thinking it might be better to just do all racing parts on this engine. I think we'll make plenty of power. We're already at 315 here, so we'll go with racing ECU. We're going to do racing turbo here, racing cams, racing intake manifold, racing fuel system, racing cylinder head. We got the racing block. We have racing exhaust manifold and racing exhaust. Now we're already at 435, which is sick. I think that's more horsepower than the RX-7. Then we're going to head into the tune here, and we should be able to make even more. We're going to extend the rev limiter all the way up. Turbine pressure is going to go all the way up here too. We're at 452. Then we got peak RPM and torque it high with those camshafts. So we're at 459 horsepower with the racing parts applied. That's going to cost another 45,000. We got the highest horsepower build in the fleet so far with the stock 2J. Heading into wheels here next, we are going to do ultimate spacers front and rear so we can fine tune our fitment eventually once we get our wheel sizes all figured out. Now for wheel size, I'm guessing an 18 or a 19 is going to look pretty good. I actually feel like the 18 is looking pretty nice there. Let's check the 19s too. 19 might be getting a little big. Let's maybe run like a 245 18. Yeah, so it's a 245 35 18, and I do like 30 tire profile, so I think we're going to stretch that with a -5. So there it is, stretch -5. It might be a little bit low once we get the fitment all figured out. If we have to go up to a 19, we can, but we'll try that for now. We're going to do the same size in the rear with the 245 35 18, and then head into the rear and stretch -5 here as well. And before we get fine tuning on the suspension, we can definitely run a wider stance here on the spacers, and I do think, we might need to go up in wheel size just a little bit. I mean, there's just a ton of room in there with the 18s. We could go up on tires too, but let's get that fitment out wide here to start. We could dial it back as we need. That's actually way too wide. It looks silly, but this is the process here. So if we go back to a normal stretch on the 35 tire profile, see, this is my problem. I like 30 tire profile for handling reasons. So I'd rather go with a 19 on a 30 tire profile if we have to, but before we spend any money, let's dump it on these wheels and see how far the body kit goes into the road. How low is the car? It's pretty low. Yeah, it's in the road. So we are going to try those 19-inch wheels, which means we can run just the standard stretch here because we already have the 30 applied. It looks a little big in here, but it might look okay in the overworld. We'll check it out in a little bit. We're going to go up to 19s on the rear here as well. Run that 245, and then we're going to need to go to the normal stretch here as well. Then we can head back into suspension. Definitely want to raise the rear up just a little bit, get it out of the road. So honestly, the height it comes with is going to be pretty good. I don't know if we want to add any more camber to the front. It looks pretty good with the 6.5. We're definitely going to need to walk the spacers back in a little bit though. So let's take care of that in the front. Back over to wheels here. We're going to walk these back in. Then we'll do rear suspension. Going to walk that back. I don't know. Do we want to tuck it? Is it too low? It's like on the ground. The skirt's like almost in the road. Oh, that's like all the way down too, huh? Can we go lower? Oh yeah, we can. I mean, you can still see the side skirt, but I think that's going to give us some handling issues. And honestly, I'm worried about the 19s looking a little too big on the kit. It does look a little better tucked. Let's see what this looks like in the overworld before we get too carried away. Oh, we got some help from NPC here with some light. I think they look too big. I think we need 18-inch wheels, which means our fitment and our stance might not be as aggressive as we normally like. It's super borderline, but I'm thinking we're going to want to run 18s on this. So I am thinking the 19s look a little bit big. We're going to walk it back to those 18s. There they are, the 245. I love that we don't have to pay for that anymore. That's awesome. And these come with the 35. So this is going to be a 35 tire profile. We might kind of be stuck with that, honestly, but I do think the wheel size is just way too big. Let's check this out in the overworld and see how it looks. All right, guys, so here it is with the 18s. I think it looks awesome. I don't love the 35 tire profile for handling, but I do think it looks really good. Obviously, we're going to need to fine tune the camber and whatnot on the stance, but I am wondering if we could make these 35s work. Let's see one more time if we can get a 30 to work on here, but I'm thinking we're going to want to stay with the 35. I mean, it's a big wide body, you know, you got to have a little bit. I love big sidewall in real life, but usually I do try to stick with those 30s for handling reasons. So let's try the 30s real quick before we lock it in. So there it is with the 30s. Honestly, it looks great. I'm surprised. I thought the sidewall was going to look too skinny. Maybe it doesn't look great because when the body flexes, you get a lot of wheel gap, and the fitment was already fine, but I don't think we want to go any lower on the body. It does look pretty good. Let's check it out in photo mode. Shout out to Society, by the way, for the HUD hider here in photo mode. The rear fitment really doesn't look bad. Obviously, we're going to need to fine tune that with the camber and whatnot, but I don't think the rear looks too bad. We can stiffen it up a little bit so it doesn't flex that much. We're definitely going to want to stiffen it up so it doesn't flex that much. And the fronts, I almost don't love the stretch for the reason of like the gap is back here more. Interesting. How much width we got up there. We might be able to bump it out a click or two, but again, I don't know if I'm loving the smaller sidewall visually in the front. Tough call. Tough call. I don't know, man. I'm liking the 35s visually. It does look like it might barely be hitting the fenders up there too. Oh man, this is tricky. This is a tricky one to stance, boys. So as we lock in our stance and fitment, one thing that we're definitely gonna wanna do is go to like -1.5-ish camber on the rear. That's a handling move. So we're gonna get that squared away. We're gonna go to -1.5 in the rear. Now with less camber, I think we're gonna wanna walk that back on the spacers so we can head back out here and into wheels. And those rear spacers are gonna come way back. Now keeping handling in mind here too, we are probably gonna wanna run them at least square, but definitely don't want the rears more aggressive than the fronts. Man, I'm wondering if this car just doesn't need a stretch. And just for the heck of it, I'm gonna see what it looks like with a standard sidewall on there. So there's the racing -5. That's gonna fill it up a lot better. I do like the stretches, but I'm thinking with this kit, we might want racing tires on this. Let's try them. Hate to spend the money, but I think we're gonna try them here. Racing -5 in the front here too. That's gonna fill up the wheel well a lot better. Then back into tuning here, and we're definitely gonna wanna walk those rears back. And then in the front, we're definitely gonna wanna walk those in a little bit too. So that looks a lot better as far as filling up the wheel well. And we can still run that 20 and be out a little bit wider than the rear too, which I think is gonna be good for handling as well. So let's apply that. Let's check that out in the overworld to see how that looks. So fitment wise, with these profiles, we are going through the front fenders just a little bit here, at least when the car is moving. Just a little bit though, which honestly, that might be just add camber for visuals. It's only when the car is moving too. Yeah, there it is. So when the body's kind of flexed over one way or the other, yeah, it's definitely going through just a little bit. And then when we hit the brakes too. Looks phenomenal though. Let's see in drone mode here exactly what our rear fitment's looking like. It's pretty aggressive. We could probably walk them both back just a little bit so that we don't hit our fenders. So we are gonna walk the fronts back in just a little bit here. We'll go to 19 on the front, which is actually our stock value. And then the rear, we're still staggered towards the front, which is really nice. We might be able to go a little bit more in the rear without it looking too bad. Thing is the front doesn't look quite as aggressive, so I think we want the rear to be about the same. Let's try this. We'll do 17 and 19 and see how it looks in the overworld. Still going through the front fender. Dang, dude. Rear fenders look good though. I think it's just that front that it's still going through just a little bit when the car's moving. So I'm thinking at this point we either raise the car a touch or add a little bit of camber or both. We're already at -6.5 in the front though. I don't think we need 7 degrees camber. And the rear is looking maybe a little higher, which for a drift car is probably not what you want. But let's head into suspension first, and we're gonna raise the front just a little bit. So that's like fender to the top of the tire, which is about equal with the rear. Oh, it's still barely hitting that front fender when it counter steers. Damn, dude. Yeah, so we might need to add just a little bit of camber or walk that width back, which we do have plenty of width to play with because we're like 2 millimeters forward in the front. So let's bring it back in here to the spacers. Yeah, so we're 19 in the front and 17 in the rear. So we'll walk that back just a little bit. Actually gonna have to go down to 15 and walk it back out. So 18 is the -1. We were at 19. Honestly, there's a good gap there. The shape of these fenders is tricky. So I'll have to go to -1. It's either that or bring it back out and add a little camber, which I don't think we need more camber for handling reasons than 6.5. So we'll try 18 in the front and see how that looks. So there's the 18 width in the front. It's still hitting that front fender. Are you kidding me? Only when it steers in like that. Damn, dude. So really at this point, our only options are raise it a little bit more in the front, which honestly doesn't look too bad, but I'm thinking maybe add some camber. It kills me because it already has 6.5. I don't think it needs any more than that, but let's try like 7.3. Yeah, let's try that and see how that looks. It's not hitting now. That's pretty huge. It might be hitting over here. But I think, no, that's pretty good. I think at this point we can call that some pretty good fitment. I don't like having over 7 degrees front camber. That's more of a visual decision than anything at this point though, because I don't want to raise it anymore. It's already pretty high. That's pretty money right there though. That looks awesome, man. This car's looking really nice, making us work for it. All right, so let's head back in here. I do think the suspension needs to be a little bit stiffer though. It's got like a lot of roll to it. So let's get that dialed in. We're gonna bring our stiffness up here. We're gonna go to like 90. We're gonna do the same over here in the rear, bring that to 89, kind of readjust our height and get it back close to where it was, because changing the stiffness is gonna change the height of the car. So we can bring that front down just a little bit. I think probably 87 is about where we want it. Maybe 84. Let's try 84 and see if it hits. Definitely hitting at 84. Oh man. That's pretty good when it's going forward though. Only in reverse is it hitting, which I don't think we're gonna run too much. Oh, I'm gonna need some tires too. All right, so we got the street tires on here. Honestly, it goes around pretty easy. We might need to add a little bit of rear camber to compensate for all that front camber we're running, which is honestly kind of killing me. I do love how the wheels look though. I really don't want to go back to that stretch. Not on this car. It just looks so nice with those meaty sidewalls. And I think honestly, there's just so much front camber on it that we definitely could add a little bit in the rear. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna head on in here. Front's at 7.3, so our rear can go down to like at least 2.5. Let's try that. And while we're here, we'll throw the rest of our base tune on this as well. So first run on the base tune here, guys, we left length and stiffness the same front and rear. Stabilizers both came all the way down. Camber is gonna be -7.3 and -2.5. Caster's gonna be 10.2, Ackerman 75. Steering angles maxed out here. That's gonna help a lot with spinning out. Then we got wheel toe at +0.18 in the front and negative 0.09 in the rear. And then I think we're gonna leave both dampers stock here at first to try it out. Still got some good squat in the rear, so we might wanna bring that rear stiffness up just a little bit, but it's definitely not spinning out as easy at this point, so that's really nice. It's a huge improvement. It's honestly feeling pretty smooth. Brake's a little touchy too. You can see it jumping around a little bit back there though. It's definitely a little soft in the rear. So I think that rear stiffness needs to come up to start. So stiffness, we're gonna bring all the way up to 110, and then our length can come down even, oh, our length can't come down anymore. Uh-oh. We might need those rear ultimate springs, which is fine. We have plenty of speed coin to spend here, but I was hoping not to have to do this. So height, yeah, we get down another 6. This kills me, but let's do it. We'll tune that, and length comes down. Wait, what? Length is, wait, why? Why is length, what? That's still all the way down? Oh no. Visually, we're gonna be locked in. We might have to stiffen the dampers and maybe throw some rear stabilizer at it. Oh, I was hoping to be able to go way lower than that. All right, we'll apply that and try that out in the overworld. Still so much flex there. Yeah, that rear's jumping around like crazy. Oh no. Yeah, I think we're gonna wanna stiffen up those rear damper values. I can see that back wheel flicking around in there when I hit the brakes. So we're definitely gonna need to try and keep that in place a little bit better here. We can't bring the height down any lower. So let's mess with the dampers for now. So all of our rear damper settings, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna bump them up by 2 yellow clicks and just see what that does as far as affecting that rear bounce. Hopefully it's a lot better here when we hit the brakes. Yeah, so that's definitely a start. That looks way better back there. It's not like rolling around when you hit the brakes. Yeah, that looks a lot better. It's still doing it a little bit, which honestly, I mean, you want a little bit of suspension play. That looks a lot better. Bogging out pretty good though. Definitely gonna want to shorten that gearing. It's definitely still got a lot of play in there though. Man, this car is tough to tune. Well, if any of you guys think that I just throw my bass tunes on these things and call it a day, you're seeing firsthand in this video today that that is not the case. Thing is though, is at this point, it feels fine. Actually feels really solid. Nice slow transitions. I do think those brakes are a little aggressive. We might need to go to stock brakes in this car. I'm gonna stiffen that rear stabilizer real quick and just see if that helps with some of that rear body roll, but we might be stuck here with that. We're gonna actually crank this way up just to see what it does and see what it looks like in the overworld. Still got a good bounce on it, dude. That's crazy. And it's still flexing. I mean, we could stiffen up the fronts too. I mean, when I'm braking, it might actually be the front that's going down and causing the rear to lift at this point, but I think it's a little too skatey with the stabilizer in the back. So we're gonna zero out the stabilizer again, and then we're gonna stiffen those front dampers, and hopefully that stops the nose from diving and will hopefully cause a little bit more rigidity overall. We'll zero that stabilizer back out. A lot of this is gonna be A/B testing, guys. If you're tuning a car, you wanna take your time, try different things and see what really works for you. And on those front springs, I don't think we want spring stiffness. Even the 103 is a little high. I think we can actually bring that down. I think we want damper stiffness. So again, we'll do 2 clicks on yellow on all of this stuff. We'll see how that feels. All right, guys, so fitment's still pretty solid here, even though we went a little lower. Now again, yeah, it's just still jumping around. Yeah, let's drift at a little bit higher speed and see how it does. Oh, that holds ankle so nicely though, dude. Oh man, we might have to just kind of live with some of that because honestly, it's driving great. I think if anything, the fronts might be a little too stiff at this point. Oh, but it just wants to backy. Oh, this thing's really turned out so nice. Dude, look at the angle it holds. It's absolutely insane. Maybe we'll just leave it like this because it's driving really nicely, despite it looking like it has a lot of body roll. I mean, it's way better than it was. And I mean, a little bit of body roll isn't bad. I do think that's way better. It's not like stanky legging every time you left foot brake. Yeah, I think this is about where we're gonna want the car because it's handling so nicely as I hit a truck. I do not like the brakes though. They're way too bitey. We might need to lose our stabilizer. Well, let's gear it first before we choose brakes because the gearing definitely needs to be done. It's way too long. And usually when you're in the higher RPMs, like see how if I keep second, like close to red line, I can left foot brake a lot more effectively here and the car doesn't get bogged out. But if I go to third on a longer third gear, it's way easier to bog it out with the left foot brakes. So we're gonna gear it first and then we'll take a look at the brakes. So heading into transmission here, guys, we can bring that final gear shorter by a good bit. Then we're gonna wanna lengthen out that first gear by a good bit as well. Second felt pretty good, so we'll put it, if we went 2 clicks right on final gear, we'll do 2 clicks left on second. Third, we'll do 2 to the right. Fourth, we'll bring up 1 to the right, and fifth, we'll leave where it's at and see how that feels. All right, so first gear honestly feels a little long. Second feels about right though. Third feels pretty good here too. It might be a little short actually. Try and find that red line. And it extends pretty nicely. Where's it gonna red line? Like 7.5, 8-ish? Pretty hard to run third out in here. I think we're gonna want third a little bit longer though. It's pretty close to that red line. It's screaming. Fourth, we're gonna wanna shorten. All right, so third a little longer, first a little shorter, and fourth a little shorter too. All right, so we're gonna try first at 3.22, second at 1.98 where it was, third gear down to 1.81, and fourth gear at 1.4. Let's try this. All right, so that third gear definitely feels a little more comfortable here now. Try and get it up into fourth. Fourth still could probably be a little bit shorter. Third gear though, feeling awesome. It's pretty hard to run it out. We say that here in the parking lot though. Try a little nitrous. Yeah, I think fourth could still be a little shorter. Third though, feeling pretty great here. Yeah, plenty of power there. It just will not redline in this parking lot. I love third gear in this thing. This thing is sick. Second we can use for the lower speed stuff. Honestly feels great. Spins tires nice and easy. Try and get on the left foot brake here. Yeah, the brakes are still spazzy, man. I really wish you could use the racing brakes to get your pressure a little lower. The angle it holds is absolutely crazy. All right, so I think I'm running out of room in here. I think what we're gonna do is bring this up to the airport and we're gonna finish up the tune up there, except I am looking at those taillights and I was hoping they'd look a little bit darker out here in the overworld, so I think we're gonna smoke those out a little bit more. They just kind of look silver in the sun. So let's go to the styling shop one more time real quick, then we'll head back over to the airport. All right, so taillight glass we're gonna bring down to like 30%. Hopefully that's not too bad with the brake lights. We'll try that. I don't know, I think you can still kind of see those silver housings. We might need to swap these out to an aftermarket set that has black housings. All right, so CVWs I believe just have that black housing. So we're gonna throw those back on. We already paid for them, which is great. Came with the kit. And we can smoke those out about the same amount, maybe a little less here. Let's see how that looks in the overworld. All right, so I'd say those look a lot, yeah, those look way better. Yeah, less smoke, but with the actual black housings, and you can still kind of see the brake lights come on. I guess maybe not a ton when it's in direct sunlight. That's okay, our tandem partners can just kind of pay attention. All right, that works. That looks awesome. So let's head over to the airport and we can work out our brakes and the rest of our gearing up there. All right, guys, so here we are up at the airport. Now, it is actually the next day here. It took so long to tune this thing and get dialed in correctly. However, I think we finally have it figured out. So we're gonna go through the whole tune setup up here, and I did have to make some pretty substantial changes, so I'm gonna walk you guys through the entire thing. Now, right off the rip here, you guys are gonna notice we did go back to a stretch tire, and we did make some adjustments to the tune itself. So first off, in the engine, everything is gonna be the same except we added the engine block. Now, this is one of a few different mods that we had to add because the brake pressure is just too high on this car. I figured adding a little bit of low-end torque would help us power through that left foot brake a little better, so we are up to 463 horsepower. So we did go with that ultimate engine block here, guys. Everything else, though, is racing in the engine section, and we tuned everything up as far as we could. Now, transmission is going to be another section that we did have to keep that left foot brake in mind for, so as you guys saw earlier, we do have ultimate clutch, differential, and gearbox, and I did try that welded diff to see if maybe having a welded diff in the rear would help with that left foot brake, but honestly, the car just felt a little bit too unstable. And again, for controller tunes, I really do appreciate the fact that you can tune acceleration and coast lock with the ultimate diff, even though you can't completely lock it. With the welded diff, the car just felt a little bit more unstable and twitchy on transition, and definitely didn't feel as stable when it came to reverse entries. Now, looking at the transmission tune here, guys, our gear shifting speed is still all the way down. Our final drive is at 3.62. First gear is going to be 3.83. Second gear is going to be 2.55. Now, second gear is very short, and you guys are going to want to moderate your throttle. You're not going to want to peg it in second, or it is going to redline. Having that shorter second gear helps you power through those aggressive brakes, but we'll get there when we get driving. Third gear is going to be 1.86. Fourth gear is going to be 1.6. Fifth gear at 1.32, and sixth gear at 1.04. Reverse, we left stock here, guys, and transmission losses we were able to bring all the way down without spending any speed coin for this one. Now, our differential setting is going to be a little bit more aggressive on this car. We got our acceleration lock at 1.35, coast lock at 0.8, and preload at 72. Now, heading into body next year, guys, you're going to notice that for the first time on the channel, we did go with a sport weight reduction. The Mark IV does feel a bit heavier, so I feel like that sport weight reduction definitely lightens up the chassis and makes the car a bit more responsive, and I felt like it helped with that left foot braking issue a bit as well. Fuel tank and aero, though, we did leave stock here, guys. Up next, we're going to have suspension. Now, we do have ultimate everything in here except for our rear springs, and there are a couple changes there from the original tune that I want to talk about. The biggest one is going to be the brakes. Now, we did upgrade these to ultimate, and the reason for that is if you go into the tune here, you'll see on the braking system section, you are able to go with a higher front brake balance, which even though our braking force is a little bit higher, bottomed out at 9, it does help to have that front brake balance just to offload some of that braking pressure from the rear axle. I do think if you guys want, you could go with those racing brakes like we did originally, just max out that front brake bias, and I did try the stock ones as well, but it just felt like they had too much bite. From what I can tell, it doesn't feel like the stock brakes have any less bite. I just feel like they're less tunable as far as that brake bias and brake torque, so I do feel like upgrading the brakes is the right move on a drift car. Now, again, if we head into racing here, you guys will see that brake torque is actually going to be bottomed out down here at 8 instead of 9, so you do have less braking force with the racing brakes, but the bias can't go as high. Now, if we head back into the ultimate settings here, you'll see that the braking force is 9 instead of 8, which I don't really feel a huge difference between 8 and 9, but the brake balance is up as high as 70, and I do feel like that helps offload that rear axle. Now, while we're here, guys, we'll go through the entire suspension tune. Our spring length in the front is 92 with stiffness at 80. Now, I do believe you guys would be able to get similar values out of the Elite springs if you wanted to. You could go to 92 here and 80, so it'd be 78 and like 94. But in the process of trying out a whole bunch of different suspension setups, I did hit one area where our stiffness was super high and I had to get lower, so that's why I have the ultimate springs. We're gonna cancel those though, definitely stick with our ultimate setup on those springs. And then going through the rest here, we have our stabilizers are ultimate, but we got them bottomed out front and rear. Camber in the front is gonna be negative 7.3, caster at 10.2, Ackerman at 75, steering angle maxed out as always. Wheel toe at positive 0.18, slow bump is gonna be 73 6150 with fast bump at 6160, slow rebound at 13200, and fast rebound at 7280 in the front. For our brakes here, once again, guys, force is going to be bottomed out at 9 and balance is going to be all the way up at 70. Heading into the rear springs next, we got our length at 55 and stiffness at 95. Stabilizers bottomed out in the rear here as well with the camber at -2.5. Wheel toe is going to be -0.09, slow bump at 6800, fast bump at 4800, slow rebound at 14,000, and fast rebound at 7883. Now for wheels here next, guys, you are going to notice we did go back to those stretches once again. That was completely a handling decision, not a visual one. I just felt like the stretch tires handled a lot better when it came to road driving, so we did end up with a stretch, but we got the ultimate spacers front and rear. Our wheel size is going to be an 18 with a 245/35, and we just have the standard stretch front and rear. I would have liked to go with the -5 if I could for handling reasons, but if you guys look at the fitment, it is pretty weak, and we would have had to slam the car like through the road in order to get that to tuck, so we did go with the standard stretch. We are able to run stock pressure front and rear here with the offset being 21 and 20 for the spacers, and that's going to round off the tune here, guys. So let's get driving and see what this thing can do. All right, guys, so while we're up here at the airport, I think this is a perfect opportunity to show you guys third and fourth are super dialed, really nice transition, super smooth with that diff and suspension setup, and this is the perfect line to kind of feel that out. Really nice 60 to like 70 kilometers per hour speed, nice transition there. You can go super wide if you need to. Car feels super dialed, and third and fourth are just absolutely locked in here. A little wall tap there. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about second gear here while we're driving as well. I don't think you're going to want to mat it in second very often. It will shoot right up to redline, but the reason for that is it does keep the power up high if you do need to left foot brake in like a tighter section, such as these shipping crates here. So as you guys can see, I can left foot brake pretty aggressively and still make my power if I'm heavy on my throttle, which is really nice because the big problem I had when tuning this car, and let me get into third here, if I hit the brakes, you guys will see it bogs out really easy. It just stalls right out, and so that's super frustrating. So that's why we have the shorter second gear, and I do think that throttle, you guys got to think too, this is an almost 500 horsepower build, right? So you don't need all that power available if you're drifting super slow. This thing's on stretch tires, it's on street tires, so there's not a lot of grip, so it's okay to not be full throttle if you're in second gear, and it's not so short that it can't extend either. I mean, it's going pretty wide here before you need third gear, but I would recommend if you are looking to accelerate, definitely get it up into third where you can punch it, but again, second is going to be kind of your usable short, slow speed sort of gear, and really nice if you're following like a lower horsepower build or something at the drift track, or some spots like this where you need to slow down and really get on that left foot brake. All right, so heading up into the city next here, guys, I want to show you that I think the big strength of this car is going to be the reverse entries, 360s, and 270s. So this car is super planted, super dialed. I actually haven't driven it in a tandem yet. We're definitely going to be doing that before the video's over, but it is super fun to do the trick stuff with. So we're going to hit a couple different tricks while we're in here in this section. I do want to show you guys that it is super planted as you hit bumps and whatnot, but we'll go for like maybe a 270 here. There it is, not too bad, little sloppy, but that was actually my first attempt here on this recording. So it's super capable there, and then if you guys want to throw a big backy too, you can absolutely do that. That was a little bit weak. We'll try a bigger one here. Put the nitrous, maybe try one down in here. There it is, so plenty of angle there. Had to downshift, fifth gear was a little bit long there, and then 360s, of course. No problem there too. So that's awesome, man. Things super dialed for all your trick drifts, and it's super stable when it comes to just your normal drifting. Now, we can talk a little bit about second gear here. So third gear is actually super usable in a lot of these tighter sections, like even right here, it's totally fine. But like if you were to hairpin this, right, that's where you're gonna want second, just in case you need to hop on those left foot brakes. And so that's super usable if you need to use it. So that's really nice to have there as well. Like in here, you could go to second. Again, I'm like half throttle. I'm not really redlining or like matting it here until I get up into third. So that's how you guys are gonna wanna drive this car. It is a higher horsepower car, and it does have really aggressive brakes. So if you are left foot braking too, another tip, try to keep it at like 25%. Like I'm left foot braking third gear here, and I'm actually getting it to go pretty slow, but if I went any more than half pressure on my trigger, I would definitely bog out third gear, and so you definitely want to be careful there. Again, down into second, it's going to power right through. You can go even smoother and slower with those left foot brakes if you need it, but again, don't go any more than half because it'll still bog out even in second. So that is going to do it for our trick drift style stuff here, guys. We're going to hit some online tandems and see what kind of doors we can get as well. All right, guys, so we got a couple of you guys coming through the stream. I appreciate you guys a ton, getting some tandem clips here. Tim with the lead in that S14, sick color on that thing. But we are here. It is nighttime. We're at the parking lot across the street from where we were previously. I'll throw up a little picture of where it's at on the map for you guys if you're looking for this spot. I love this spot for nighttime, but as you guys can see, the car gets some really nice tandems. I'm actually going to try and work up a little bit closer to Tim's door here. That fourth gear, third gear, fourth is really, really solid up here on these on-ramps. See if we can tap his door just a little bit. Sick wall ride from Tim. Thing is super controlled, super planted, and I'm just super stoked on this Supra, man. It came out so nice. Definitely a little bit different than what I've been doing for some of my builds. We went with those white wheels, the yellow color, a little bit of an interesting body kit though, few OEM parts, and again, the tune took absolutely forever, but the car's super locked in. Let's try one more tandem set here with User. See if we can get his door downhill here. This thing is so much fun. Let's go, dude. The Supra is dialed. One more uphill with User. User's super smooth. Love to see it, dude. Love to see it. Tim's poking back up on our door. Let's go, dude. Hell yeah, bro. Gotta be careful here on these brakes. Nice transition up top. Oh, this is so much fun. Definitely took a little bit longer to get this thing locked in here though, guys, but it is so much fun. I'm super glad we stuck it out. A lot more power in this build than the first two cars. We're up to 465, so it's super nice having a little bit more available power. Not sure what these guys are running, but they're looking super smooth for us. I appreciate these guys coming by once again to help us get some tandem clips here on stream. Oh, he hits the wall too. We'll head back uphill here and finish it out. So if you guys made it this far in the video, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys a ton. If you guys did enjoy the tune or the video, please feel free to leave a like down below and subscribe for more just like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.